I'm going to pass over to Brent Clark. Brent's just going to share his screen. So Brent's been working with Strata buildings probably for many decades and has got a lot of expertise in this area to share. And we'll be focusing on the Strata law changes and other rebates that are available.
Thanks so much, Rachel. And thanks, James, for covering everything on the New South Wales Solar for Apartment Residents grant so quickly. Now, you might have noticed on one of James' slides that it says batteries are not included in the New South Wales Solar for Apartment Residents rebate. But don't worry, because the Albanese government on the 1st of July 2025 launched the Cheaper Home Batteries, or CHP, incentive. And if you're going for the New South Wales Solar for Apartment Residents rebate, you can actually also ask your solar installer to quote batteries along at the same time. And this federal incentive actually doesn't have, a two-stage grant application like the New South Wales SOAR grant. And there are a number of strata schemes that are actually getting their solar installer to quote batteries at the same time. So let's just cover quickly what's involved in this federal cheaper home batteries rebate. So it's available on batteries that are between 5 kilowatt hours and 100 kilowatt hours, but it only applies to the first 50 kilowatt hours of usable capacity. It's managed under the same federal small-scale technology certificates, or STC rebate program, which we'll mention also applies to the solar system that you're getting if you are applying for the New South Wales SOAR rebate. The value is about $372 per usable kilowatt hour in 2025. So that means you can get, maybe a third of the cost of a regular size battery that people might be familiar with. So a battery that might have cost you $12,000 without installation, you might be able to get that for $8,000. And this has already had a huge impact on the battery market in Australia. And I think in the first month after it was launched, it was the first time ever that some solar installers were reporting more requests for battery installs than solar installs in the history of operating their solar businesses. But another thing is if you're getting a battery, you've got to ask your installer to get a battery that is virtual power plant capable, and it also needs to be installed by an installer that's SAA accredited, but you also need that accreditation for your SOAR grant. So that's not something extra that you need to think about. And we're hoping that if you're in a strata that's got more than 15 apartments and you're using the Allume Energy SolShare system, that you'll be able to actually get multiple batteries installed connected to each SolShare and claim the rebate up to the 50 kilowatt hour limit for each of those batteries. So federal cheaper home batteries, that's something extra to keep in mind when you're going out to get your solar installer to quote for your solar for apartment residents rebate. And also from a different part of the New South Wales government, there's the peak demand reduction scheme incentive on batteries, which have to be virtual power plant enabled or capable. But to get your federal cheaper home batteries, they already need to be VPP enabled. And this is a separate, it's not a rebate off the cost of the battery. It's an incentive for you to connect your battery up to a virtual power plant network. And there might be about a dozen of those that you can now shop around and connect your VPP enabled battery to. And what that will do is if there's a period where there's some stress on the grid, a heat wave or a brownout, then you're giving an external organisation the ability to discharge the energy that's stored in your battery into the grid for the good of the community. And depending on what, one of those dozen different virtual power plant plans that you might be on, you'll get paid handsomely for that energy which is discharged to the grid. But in 2025, the New South Wales government is giving you up to another potential $1,500 incentive just for connecting your battery up to a virtual power plant program. So, two extra incentives or rebates to think about if you're going for the New South Wales Solar for Apartment Residents grant. Now, my next section, we're going to go through from the 1st of July 2025. We had a bunch of changes to the New South Wales Strata law, which actually are pro-sustainability. And if people are interested what constitutes sustainability, here's actually a section of the Act. There are a lot of things, I won't read through them, but that came out in 2021. And I will just point out one thing, that this lowers the voting threshold in New South Wales from a 75% threshold on unit entitlements down to a 50% threshold on unit entitlements for voting through to do any sustainability project, including solar and batteries. But what a lot of people don't realise is the voting threshold's also lowered if you want to take out finance to do that. So keep that in mind. Now, the changes which came in on the 1st of July 2025, we've got 3 new changes. So at every annual general meeting from now on for every New South Wales Strata scheme, you need to have a motion on your AGM agenda to consider sustainability. And I've been mystery shopping a couple of Strata schemes I've been talking to, and really happy to see that their Strata managers have already put this into the motions for this new meeting. We'll talk about that a little bit more in detail, but the second thing is every Strata building in New South Wales has to have a capital works fund. It used to be called a sinking fund plan. So it has to have a capital works fund plan. And each time you don't have to update that capital works fund plan every year, but just say you're updating it every 3 years. Every time you do update it, you now have to put sustainability infrastructure into that update of the capital works fund plan. And then thirdly, the third change that came in is we've now got a whole bunch of bylaws which might have been passed in your Strata scheme, banning things that are sustainable in the past, which are now no longer able to be banned in a Strata scheme. And we'll look at a couple of those as well. So here's an example of a motion that just gives you an idea of what you should be checking is on your AGM agenda each time you receive the draft. If you're on the Strata committee from your Strata manager, you'll need something similar to this motion to be on the agenda at every AGM moving forward. Now, if you need any help with this, you can search Google online and try and find a free Strata sustainability compliance form that might help you, as a treasurer or secretary or a chairperson, think through the process of making the most of this opportunity when the AGM motion comes up. And the sort of things now, the changes to the legislation don't mean that you need to actually see electricity, gas, and water bills, but we would encourage people that are on the committee that have never seen any of those bills before to request them from your Strata manager to make the most of that motion. And you'll get more out of it than if you just look at the dollar amounts spent on electricity, gas, and water this year versus the dollar amounts spent last year, which is typically all you've got on hand. So our tip to make the most of this motion is to request a copy of the actual bills that you may never have seen before if you're on a Strata committee. And then you can discuss, what are the sustainability improvements that have been done in the building and what do we want to do in the future? So how to estimate some of these costs and sort of play that into the setting of the strata levies moving forward? Well, you can enroll in these programs like Building Futures, like Stratosphere, and get some sustainability reports with some estimated costs. You can take some online training courses, join a chat group online, find case studies online. So go and have a look at some of the case studies that are on the Waverley Council website. And that'll give you a feel for how you build these in. And it should be adjusting your strata levies to take into account sustainability infrastructure. Then the capital works plan, you might be hiring a quantity surveyor to do this. For you, if it's a smaller building, you might have a treasurer that does it themselves. But get some of those costs from your sustainability report you got from your local council program or from a case study, and start building those into the capital works plan. So that people are aware that it's coming down the line. Now, the third thing, and I'll stress the strata law change only applies to strata buildings which are not heritage listed. So if you are in a heritage building or if you're in a heritage conservation zone, then the things we're going to talk about that the rest of our strata schemes need to get rid of in terms of being anti-sustainability bylaws, they don't apply to you if you're in a heritage building or in a heritage conservation zone. But let's have a look at some of the things that in our strata in New South Wales, a number of people have bylaws that ban hanging washing on balconies. That it's very sustainable to use open air to dry your clothes as opposed to using a dryer. So that's an example of a bylaw which you now need to remove from your consolidated bylaws. Installing shades or awnings to reduce heat coming into the apartments. Some strata buildings have banned this in the past. This is very environmentally sound because it reduces air conditioning ventilation. Now, air conditioners, a lot of people think that they're actually not a sustainable technology, but they are. If you use the heating cycle of a reverse cycle air conditioner, it's better than using a gas heater. It's better than using an electric element heater. And so it is actually more sustainable. These are heat pumps, by the way. So that is a technology that is a sustainable technology, and you could mount that on a common property wall if it was banned. Obviously, if your building can't handle the load of air conditioners, you can't put them on. But your strata can't ban it based on aesthetic reasons now. Also, installing fly screens in front of sliding doors. It's been banned in some stratas. It's more sustainable to have those than to run ventilation or dehumidifiers. This is what we're hoping might happen in the future. We might get vertical solar panels like they have in Germany on the outer facades of our strata buildings. On induction cooktops, one of the great challenges there is we've got all this engineered stone, and it's very hard to cut that to refit induction cooktops into engineered stone bench tops. But we've had people contact us saying we've got to get rid of bylaws that ban induction cooktops after capacity has been increased in the building. So that's another one that you can take out. Balcony solar systems, as long as they're hardwired, and not the German model where you just plug them into the power point. You can't ban hanging solar panels that serve the individual apartment off the balcony now. Enclosing balconies to create sunrooms. Again, this is more sustainable than, and so that's another thing that, some stratas will be removing bylaws related to that. You can't ban e-bike and scooter charging pods like the one we see on the screen here. So hopefully we'll get more of these pods coming. You can't ban compost bins or veggie pods. And this is my favorite one. You can't ban an EV charging station based on the aesthetics. So if you're the guy that really needs the Iron Man EV charge point, Well, the rest of your strata committee can't stop you installing that because they don't like the look of it. And in some other strata schemes, we've also seen, like in townhouse estates, people ban inverters that aren't black or white and batteries on common property walls that have strip lighting on them. Now, that wouldn't hold up either. And one last example, if you've got a community association and they try and ban your solar panels, they've got to be further than 50 centimetres away from a roof edge based on aesthetic or architectural grounds. That wouldn't hold up anymore, and you would have to remove that by law. So I've just out of time, but here are some resources, and we've got a QR code if you want to join a WhatsApp group and discuss any of these items with over 200 other strata electrification enthusiasts. So I'll hand back now to Rachel.
Brent, that was very informative, and I loved the EV charger. That was great.